Hi, let's talk dairy today. Let's talk about why I have chosen almost 24 years ago why I do not consume dairy and why I think you should not consume dairy also. After much research, this is better for me, I can see myself. After much research within dairy, and same thing within my nutrition researching, finding out that it's not necessarily one of the reasons, let me clear this up, it's not necessarily that cows are bad for you. Cows are very good for you, but it's actually the processing of actually what we've done to cows that's actually made the milk or made cow's milk actually very bad for us. What has happened, back from the 1950s, it used to be that cows would produce 4 gallons of milk a day. Well, now in 2018, cows produce over 200 gallons of milk a day. That's just not the way, that's just not natural. It's just not the way God intended for things to be. And due to production and due to supply and demand, farmers have decided to, add hormones as well as pesticides, as well as just the care of cows. And even there is actually some too, there are cows that also that are not just grain fed, that they're disease ridden. And due to these, the pesticides in the ground, as well as the hormones that cows do inject now, that it has caused so much ailments within people's bodies today. We have such an overflux of, first of all, let's start with children. Children today mature much faster than they did when I was younger. You see girls menstruating much younger at 8 and 9 years old. Yes, 8 or 9 years old. You'll see young boys maturing, beginning, puberty much later in life than they were before. Also, everything from autism to HDHA, I'm saying that wrong, hyperactivity in children, to allergies. And this is I know that the government knows these things, but it all has to do with money. They know that farmers, that within the land of having to be able to turn the land and let the land just lay, they know these things, but it is, unfortunately, it's a money issue. So you're seeing allergies. One of the biggest signs for people is allergies, much more within cancer, and all the good benefits that how God made this animal to be has really been taken away. If you've ever, let's say if you're still drinking vitamin D milk, cow's milk, you ever notice that it actually has on it says vitamin D enriched milk? Well, let's think about that just for a moment. Milk itself, the way God made it, it has absolutely enough vitamin D that it does have. Well, the reason why they have to actually add it back is because due to the process of actually pasteurization and everything that they've had to do to it, it rips all of that out of it. So they're now trying to put it back in. And there is no exact measuring or leveling of how they're doing it. So sometimes there's an overassumption. There is no rhyme, reason, or method on how they're putting vitamin D enriched back into milk. So people that are on cow's milk, you'll see one of the biggest signs that I see within people is allergies, amongst all of the other things, and weight gain. Horrible weight gain and allergies, to where people are on medication. And I can read this in someone's face. I can hear it in environment, especially within their cheekbones. I can see it. Teenagers getting unsurmounted amounts of acne that they just cannot get rid of, but they come up with medication upon medication that as long as you stay on the medication, the acne will go. Well, just not the way it ought to be, And so 23 and a half years ago, after learning this, I myself opted to get off of dairy. Unless I was able to actually raise my own cows, I've gone completely dairy free. And if you are suffering, let's say, with hormones, acne, allergies, weight gain, digestive issues also too. It's something that I would highly suggest to you. You will see a significant difference. I would start off and there are great substitutes, many substitutes for getting off of dairy. And like I said, is when I actually got off of dairy 23 and a half years ago, I did it for the health reasons, but then the outside just absolutely manifested with me. I did it again right after I had my son. And what happened with me after having my son was a total change within my body, within my face, my abs, things like that. But that's the outward. On the inside, tremendously on the inside. So there's a lot of benefit. I have to be able to see my face, guys. Sorry. Tremendous benefit to actually. Now, some of you may get rid of some dairy, but you may not 100% live like I do, dairy free, even though I do encourage it. I would start off and I would absolutely, when I started, I actually just, there are so many more products available than there was 24 years ago. Everyone asked me about, what about organic milk now? Organic milk wasn't out 24 years ago. It wasn't. My choices were rice milk, almond milk, and soy milk. And I used my kitchen as a testing kitchen, and I found great in each one of them. I use them very differently for each one. I would say the one that I use the most is probably my almond milk, unsweetened almond milk, what I love. I will still on occasion when it comes to baking certain things. So each one serves a different purpose. But what I'm saying for you is I would, you have to start reading labels. And now they put on labels. It's much easier than 24 years ago. But start reading those things. When people tell me, I don't eat that much dairy, they don't understand that they really do. There's so many. If you eat things out of boxes, you've got to read your label and see if it says it contains milk ingredients. I don't eat from boxes at all, but check your cereals, check your labels, and start from there. But some of the obvious things is your milk, your butter, and your cheese. Those things that you purchase that are dairy. So if this is something that you're willing to do, first of all, let's say if you suffer from any of those things, you're going to see a significant change in your body. But now let's just talk about the health benefits. That if you just find that, for my healthy lifestyle, I do recommend people. I do. If you're a woman over the age of 35 and you're perimenopausal, which I'm going to talk about that very soon, you will see a significant difference while going through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Okay, you'll see a very, very significant difference. It will actually be wonders to you. So I do suggest for everyone to be off of dairy, unless you have a cow in your backyard and you have control over it, or you can do organic products. I get asked quite often, why don't you just now go to organic? Well, I'm pleased with what I'm using. I like my almond milk. I like the type of butters that I use. I like the things. Okay, so on a regular basis in my house, the only dairy you'll see almond milk, you will see butter. I use Earth Balance butter, which I absolutely love. have not changed at all. I know that there are grass-fed butters out there, but I like the non-GMO, vegan. I like the Earth Balance butter. I've always used it. I like the milk that I use, but I would experiment with others, but my favorite most is almond milk. There are cheeses, there are ice creams. Here's my suggestion for all of those extra non-dairy sources is this. I completely recommend basically having just milk and butter in your house, because those are things that you use on a regular basis. Everything else is luxury items. What I would recommend is go 30 days, rid your body of dairy. Here's some things you're going to notice. You're going to notice that some changes within your face. It could possibly it's got to come out. All the dairy if you are a big dairy consumption person, it has to come out of your body. It may come in the final of you. My skin itched a little bit. Okay, so it's coming out. You might notice a pimple or two. Okay, because it's trying to come out. You're going to notice I had a significant change in my face. I completely lost a lot within my face. And you're going to notice at first coming off of it, and then all of a sudden your energy level is going to shoot up. So just notice those things. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I want you to know those things. So I would completely rid your body. I went completely 30 days, even though I wasn't a huge dairy person, I'm not a cheesy person, but I would still recommend go the entire 30 days because you want to completely get out of your body before having any type of luxury items. Sorry, someone trying to call. Besides having any type of luxury items. Okay, I mean, talking about there's great ice creams, there's great cheeses, but understand I do not have those things on a regular basis. I eat clean, and those are things that I'll have for, let's say, a treat, my birthday, or if I'm making something special for my kids, quesadillas. But I still do not I don't recommend having those things. The things I have on a normal basis is butter, milk, and that's it. Okay, so I hope this answers a lot of questions. I wanted to keep it kind of short to do this, to talk about dairy and the importance of actually, again, this is the next level within your healthy lifestyle and what's going to help within your digestive system. And some of you are going to ask me about putting a little bit of some cheese on top of certain things. It's a whole answer of what are you going to do within your dairy? If it's something that you're going to, this is something you want to absolutely do, you may want to, after this point, contact me and say, Tracy, I am going to completely get off of dairy. Can we talk a little bit more in depth about it? Okay? All right, guys. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.